Welcome back to another episode of Direct Response Secrets. I'm your host, Zachary J. Radford, and today I have a special presentation for you. We are going to be diving deep into the understanding of how to leverage AI in email in this episode. If you have an existing email list or thinking about starting a newsletter, this episode is for you. All right, let's jump into it. Have you ever wanted to leverage AI to send amazing emails that get a 50+% open rate, high engagement and click-through rate, and drive sales for yours or any other business you would like? Well, I'd like to introduce you to a concept called impact letters. What is an impact letter? Essentially, it's a newsletter that doesn't suck. So the problem with newsletters is they're boring and nobody opens them and they get low engagement and they drive next to no sales. So what I've done is I've reverse engineered the buying process and put this into an email. And the difference is that it gets high open rates, high engagements, and ultimately drives a ton of sales. Now, you may be asking, who's this guy and who's he done this for? Well, I've done this for some of the biggest names in marketing, which in my opinion is the most sophisticated market, not meaning like the smartest people or anything, meaning they see a ton of ads, they see a ton of different marketing hacks and tricks and all these things. So they're very sophisticated when it comes to marketing and they love this content. And the truth is that I leverage AI to create about 80+% of it. And it really drives results, engagements, open rates, engagements, and sales. And I'm going to share with you in this video exactly how I kind of go about doing that. Now, I'm not what you would consider a writer, okay? I basically pretty much flunked out of high school, barely getting by. I'm dyslexic, so there's a lot of like story on why I shouldn't be a writer. So when somebody reached out to me last year, this time it was like, hey, I want you to come write for our newsletters. I want you to share your experiences and your expertise and really add value to the community. I was like anybody else. I said, how much you paying? And the number was great. So I was like, all right, I'll take a stab at it. But I am like, you wouldn't consider me to be a writer. I literally wrote social posts, basic sales emails at best. And to my surprise, the contents just started working. It started working like crazy. I took what I learned in my ad buying career and I applied it to newsletters and stuff started to go absolutely crazy. So we got, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 newsletters that I've written for. Almost one's at 25% currently open rate, but that's in the process of changing. The other ones are all 50+% open rate. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people are seeing these. I've sent tens of millions of emails. And in this training, I'm going to show you exactly the thought process I went through to make that happen and the tools that I used and some ideas that you can implement to your emails right now. So, but I have a question for you before we jump into this. If you stop sending emails today, sales emails, would anybody care? Now, that may seem a little harsh, but it's the truth. And I want you to kind of have an open mind and think about it. As companies, we've been taught that we need to send as many sales emails as possible. Some people talk about a daily email, and it all leads to the sale. Well, I can tell you that the market is becoming more sophisticated, meaning the average buyer and consumer understands online all the tricks and tactics, essentially. So we need to come up with a way that's creative. And my saying is the best marketing doesn't look like marketing. And if you look at newsletters, they've been around for thousands of years. We're just bringing that same concept forward and implementing it with some direct response baked in and driving a ton of sales and results. All right, so enough talking. Let's jump into the whiteboard. And I just want to preface this, like this may not be the easiest thing in the world. Meaning, just like when you go to the gym, you first get to the gym, you're all excited to work out. You get in there, you see all the equipment, and then you start actually pumping iron. You realize it hurts, and it's supposed to hurt. Okay, so learning this stuff, I'm starting with a lot of mindset stuff to get us in the right spot, and then I'm going to give you what actually moves the needle and why we should be implementing that. So let's get into the training. I just wanted to preface that so you can get to the job easier and get your swole on from an email and AI perspective. So let me just share my screen here. All right, share screen. Let's go like this and share. All right, that looks like it's coming through nice and clear. So let's just start at the top, and I got some notes here. You hear this word tossed around a lot, and I don't think a lot of people understand what they're trying to say, but value. Your emails need to be valuable. If they're not valuable, who's going to open them? And I have this concept that I write in my book, Direct Response Secrets, about market in motion. So if you can envision a racetrack where everybody is running towards their goals and their aspirations, it's our job as entrepreneurs, marketers, business owners to stand on the sidelines and get them to the end of the race faster. The end of the race being whatever their desire is. So in that process, cutting down time is value. So I have this benchmark that I like to use. I call it the $100 email benchmark. And if an email I'm sending, a newsletter, in my opinion, is not worth at least $100, I don't send it. Now, that may sound extreme, but in a world filled with competitors, and you're competing with everybody and all different countries globally, all across the world, somebody's going to be willing to give that value if you don't. So why do I want to take my time, my energy, open your email, read your stuff, get excited, and then make a buying decision? Well, it's because you're providing value. And now that you kind of understand what value is and you have a benchmark to go against, right? Like, so if that email isn't worth $100, and I'm not saying there's no room for sales emails anymore. You can send just like buy my stuff emails, but if that's all you're sending, I can tell you that people very quickly will not care. They just will. They don't have time. They don't have energy. Even if you have the best offer, the best, like they just won't care. And email is an afterthought for a lot of people. What I want to do, and my mission is to make it forefront and leverage AI to make that happen for us. So let's go to number 2, because that'll help explain some things. Oops. What's in it for me? Even better yet. What's in it for them? As entrepreneurs, as writers, as marketers, as we're trying to help the market, we're always coming at things from our perspective. Why did you start your business? Why did you take your job? Why are you trying to write these emails in the first place? It's because it's what you want. You want an end goal. You want sales. You want engagement. You want open rates, right? We have to think about this from their perspective every step of the way. So we understand that it's going to be valuable to them, right? And how we really get down to that value is we find out what's in it for them. And how we do that is we get to know our reader. We get to know our people, our customers, whoever is consuming our content. We need to understand them. And I have a link to something that it's a handful of questions that you can answer. It's going to be in the links down below, and you can get access to it. And it's what I call it my copy brief, but I start every single new project with this because my goal is to better understand the market than anybody else. If I can understand the market better than anybody else, I can provide more value. I can understand. I can help them get to where they want to go faster. That means they're going to read my emails. That means they're going to consume my content. And that means they're going to be able to grow and scale. And I'm going to be able to help them get there. So we need to really understand that we need value for them to even open the emails. In order to do that, we need to understand what's in it for them. Now, how do we leverage AI to make this happen? Well, other than taking the sheet that I provided you and copy and pasting that in the chat and like getting a lot of the answers done for you, which you can do, and I've done. It's not great, but it's a starting point. The problem that we face as as we're trying to build out these emails is that chat's output sucks a lot of the time. I'm not ragging on it. It just doesn't have the right information to be good. And if you're selling to anybody and all the markets are getting more sophisticated, smarter, we need to provide really good content. So this is how I do it. I use something called a builder. What is a builder? A builder is essentially a prompts and a multiple prompts that I string together to compile to create amazing newsletters. So one of my favorite copywriters of all time, Eugene Schwartz, says, copy is not written, it's assembled. It's the same thing with the newsletter. You need to kind of assemble it. So let's just look at like an idea for a newsletter. Let's go like, so we have the logo presented by, then we got intro, and I'm not going to write this all up, but you can see it. There's all these things in see. There'll be like a news section. There's all these different sections. So each one of these will become a piece of my builder. And the builder is put together with blocks. And there's three main pieces that we need. All right. The first one is a prompt. So this is just basic info of what we're trying to do. Like, and the best way that I write these prompts is I literally speak into this microphone. Can't see it, it's right here. And I say, hey, chat, I'm trying to do ABC for ABC client. And this is what I'm trying to do. I literally just talk it out. It's nothing complicated whatsoever. Just what are you trying to do? I'm trying to write a newsletter for this type of market. Here's the person that I'm writing it for. This is what I thought, blah, 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 blah. Just keep it really basic and short. And that brings us to the second piece, what I call source. And source is essentially context. Without context of knowing what to say and why we're saying it, it's really hard for chat to produce anything good. Now, most people do these two things. They do these two things, they get an okay response, not terrible. And then the third one is, let me just double check my notes to make sure I got it. Yep. All right. The third one is framework. And the framework is nothing more than an example of a desired outcome. So we feed this into chat. We have the prompt, and I'm going to give you an example here in a second, so don't worry about it. The prompt is super basic. We have the source, so we can have like a transcript or an article we've written or ideas that we would like to have included into the piece that we're including. And then we can have the context side of that, like what the outcome is, what we're trying to do with this content. We can even include that context piece up in the initial prompt as well. The source is essentially context of like what we expect to see in the final product. Now, framework is how we want to see the end product come out, because we could give this to chat, we could give this to chat, and then it could give us like, it could write something 30 different ways. And that's great. It may work great. It may not work great, but we want consistency across our writing. We wanted to understand why we're doing this. And the best way to do that is to give it a framework. So a framework is you either yourself, you write it for the first time, or you source it from another newsletter or from something else that is giving you inspiration for your project. And then you give it that context. Like, so example, let's say I wanted to write this intro. Okay, so this is my goal. I want to write that. And then so I would go, basic prompt would be something along the lines of, hey chat, I am writing an intro for my newsletter blank. The readers are blank, and we're trying to write the best possible, most valuable newsletter we possibly can. Done. Okay, so that's the first part. We don't press enter yet. And then we go down to the next step, which is context. Here is a conversation from an MIT an MIT graduate talking about, or professor talking about the topic. Can we put that in there? Or then we get the transcript of that, put that in there, and that'll be the source file. And then underneath is the framework. And then you would either write how you want it to look, or you grab an example from somewhere else. And then the output would be money. It's gold. It's literally gold. So you're telling it, you're giving it all three, not just the two. So you're giving it the basic prompt of what you're trying to do and your desired outcome. You're giving it source content so it understands what the whole newsletter is going to be about, and you use the best possible source you can come up with. If you're an expert, you can use your own content, which is phenomenal. That's why I work with experts a lot, because they already have this vast wealth of expertise and content, and we can just tap into that and make it work great. And then the framework is the example of how the output actually is going to look. So if it's like, hey, I want it to be like, hey, name of our readers. And then we can basically like, I want one paragraph like this. I want one sentence here. I want 2 lines here. I want that. Like, you can literally give it a framework of the output. So it gives you control of what you're putting out and what's good and what's not good. You can look at what others are doing as well to identify what's exciting, what's not exciting. So this builder, just so you can have it visualized, has these stacked. So each one of these has its own builder. And that's on one Google Doc. And then basically when I'm writing the newsletter, I can just copy and paste each one in, and I go and I change the builder before I do that, and then I assemble the newsletter to make it as high value as humanly possible. So that is how I do the builder and how we create the content using AI. And I'll tell you the tools I use in a second here. So number 4 is segmentation. So segmentation is the key to engagement. It's the key to your open rates, which will ultimately come down to driving more sales and growth in your business. So if we look at segmentation, let's say we had a list of 100,000 people. So we've got 100,000 people. We send an email, a newsletter, which we've created using this up above, and 20% or 20K open. These are the people that are engaged, they open it. So that gives us a 20% open rate. Not great. Now, we know that 80K have not opened it. So if we literally just remove this 80K, we would have a 100% open rate to 20,000 people. That's one way of doing it. Now, our goal, though, is we don't necessarily want to do that. We want to convince these people to become engagers. So we build systems and processes, we like emails to get them to open and engage. So we're sending our newsletter to these people, and then these people we're saying, did you hear? Did you hear about our newsletter? Did you see this? We have a free gift for you. We want to show. We're trying to get these people to engage, and as they engage, they get moved over to here. And then we get a bigger and bigger open rate. And that's how we kind of control that. So here's my thought on open rates and engagement in general. If we're sending emails to these 100,000 people and 80,000 are not opening, they're good as dead to me. Like, there's good, might as well not even be on the list, because if they're not going to open and engage, I'm not saying we don't try to get them to engage, but if they're not opening, what are we doing? We're sending our message to space, and it's affecting our other open rates. It's affecting all of our other statistics. It's affecting our deliverability and all these other things. Once you're able to get a vast majority of the email, if you get a 50% open rate, your email provider will love you. All the email providers will love you. And there's other factors that go into that as well, but I think it really helps with deliverability and all different types of stuff, which is cool, which is beyond the scope of this training. So let's talk about tools. So I'm talking about using chat. I use chat for everything. ChatGTP, if you're not familiar with it, that's what I use. I use Beehive for actually sending the emails for our clients. It works great. I also use Otter. It basically transcribes things for you. So I can take a video off of YouTube, have it transcribed, and use it as a source file in my builder for the newsletter. And I'm going to put links to all of these down below, so you're going to have access to them. No biggie. I also like read aloud, because something crazy, and this is a Chrome plugin, but something crazy happens when you write some content and then you hear it read back to you. You're able to make edits that way. And then so I basically just use this plugin to read it to me. And it helps a ton. I like Grammarly. I think there's two M's in there. That will allow us to just quickly scan for typos and different stuff like that, and give us other structures to structure the sentences and stuff. Great tool. And then I like Docs. So Google Docs. All my emails before I write them are written in a Google Doc because I need to edit them, proofread them, and go from there. So those are the tools that I would recommend. Now, when you're first starting your newsletter, you just have to keep these things in mind. It's pretty straightforward. The more valuable your emails are, the more likely they're going to get open, the more likely they're going to get referred to people, and the more engagement and sales and everything you're going to get from your newsletter. So the more valuable it is, the more money you're going to make. What's in it for them? Remember, these people are actively in motion. They are already trying to achieve something. You have their attention. Help them. Help them by actually helping them, and you'll be so surprised on what that does for sales and for everything else. Like if they're excited about buying, you have them. You have their attention. Now let's get them excited about buying our products and services and our sponsors and all that different stuff like that. And then we use our builder to actually build out the process. And again, this is just a Google Doc where it's like intro, news article section. Like we have all of our sections written out, and I can copy and paste that and put that in there. And so you get it and let it know the prompt of what's happening, the source, so it has context, and then give it a framework of what I actually want to see. And it produces amazing stuff. So highly recommend that. And then in order to get your open rates and deliverability rates and all these things to the roof, segment your list. And this isn't the sexiest thing, but it's the truth. If someone's not opening your email, you can't force them to read it. So why are you wasting your time and energy to try to get them, unless you're running a separate campaign to re-engage, which does make sense. And these are the tools I'm using: the chat, Beehive, Otter, Read Aloud, Grammarly, and Google Docs. Hopefully you found this training interesting and very, very valuable. My goal is to create more trainings like this. So if there's something that you would like to see, comment down below and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions and provide more value for you. And if you want to get on to where you're going faster, you can book a call with me down below and we can just have like an honest conversation, no crazy sales pitch. Well, let's talk about your current list, what you're currently doing for emails, and I can help you grow and scale from there. And if it makes sense, maybe we can work together. And all the links will be down below. If you need anything else, make sure you like, rate, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. We got a ton of great content coming forward, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Bye.